Welcome back. My name is MD Mahmoudul Hassan, Assistant Professor at Department of Geoinformation Science and Earth Observation, Geographical Science and Technology University, Bangladesh. In this video, we will discuss about the urban drivers of climate change. Before going to the details, let's talk why climate change in cities is a topic of concern. Climate change is thought as one of the effects of rising anthropogenic emissions of greenhouse gases, mostly during industrial period. These anthropogenic activities in the natural environment play a significant role in global warming and contribute increasing emission of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere. The use of fossil fuel and the emission of greenhouse gases occurred on a large scale during the industrialization period, which also led to urbanization. It is reported that many cities in Asia are found as the epicenter of economic growth and a major source of greenhouse gas emission. Hence, it is understood that human activities have a significant impact on urban climate as their emission effect vary significantly from those in neighboring rural areas. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change (IPCC) distinguishes energy supply, transportation, residential and commercial buildings, industry, agriculture, land use change and forestry, and waste and wastewater as the key contributors to global greenhouse gases emissions. Climate change in urban areas significantly differ from the rural area in many countries. The global rate of urbanization has risen from 13% in 1900 to 36% in 1970 and 52% in 2011. But the links between urbanization and greenhouse gas emission level remains complicated and require various drivers such as population and demographic structure, economic growth, individual income and lifestyle, nature of urban system, urban form and design, and geographical location. Now let's talk about population and demographic structure, one of the drivers of climate change. Population and demographic structure figure shows the global and regional population trend during the period of 1850 to 2010. Global population grew almost 87% between 1970 and 2010. About 6.9 billion in 2010 from 3.7 billion in 1970. About 50% global population lived in cities in 2018 and projected to increase to 68% by 2050. According to the project, about 2.5 billion people will be added in urban area because of rapid urbanization. Each additional person raises greenhouse gas emission, while the contribution rate varies greatly depending on their socioeconomic and geographic circumstances. The global urban population has increased dramatically from 751 million in 1950 to 4.2 billion in 2018. Despite its lower degree of urbanization, about 54% world urban population lived in Asia. For example, the 35 largest and most important cities account for 18% of the country population in China. And these cities are responsible for about 40% energy released carbon dioxide emission in the country. Economic growth. Across countries, per capita energy consumption is closely associated with per capita income. It's possible that economic growth in developing countries would be more emission-oriented than in developed economies. Rapid economic growth in middle-income countries to devastate the effects of carbon emission, resulting in strongly increasing emission. However, since economic growth in developed countries is slower, the impact of technological change is more noticeable, and emission rates quite slowly or decrease. Hence, it is evident that energy consumption and its environmental impact goes up or down quite slowly in the early stage of economic cycle and afterwards decrease more rapidly throughout the later stages. From 1970 to 2010, Asia had the fastest economic growth, averaging 5.0% per year. In all region aspect, Asia per capita emission have decreased over time. Despite this convergence, there are still significant differences in per capita emission between countries. Consumption-based greenhouse gas emission is highly associated with economic growth of a country. It may be developed or developing country. Researchers explored that the main factor of increasing emission is increasing consumption level in Netherlands during 1987 to 1998. United Kingdom between 1992 and 2004. Within cities, the types of economic activities that take place have an effect on greenhouse gas emission. Capitalistic manufacturing and energy-intensive industries are strongly linked to higher emission, particularly when the energy used is obtained from fossil fuels. Individual income and lifestyle. We follow a consumption lifestyle as we consume more and use more resources in our real experiences, resulting in increased emission from our lifestyles. Between 1992 and 2007, urban development and lifestyle change in China contributed to an increase in energy-related carbon dioxide emission. The lifestyle you lead is largely depend on the household income. The amount of household income is noteworthy as it influences houses size as well as the housing neighborhoods, thermal comfort, threshold temperature. However, a high quality of life can be found in cities without releasing significant quantities of greenhouse gases. There are so many cities across the world that have low energy consumption while ensuring a comfortable lifestyle. Nature of urban system. Urban system leads to climate change because of their several functions, including spatial, transport, and supply functions require a huge amount of fossil fuels. Spatial urban functions include buildings to house people and industry, a space for social culture and economic interactions. Buildings accounted for 28% of global energy-related carbon dioxide emissions, with direct carbon dioxide emission from burning of fossil fuels responsible for nearly a third of the total emission. In addition to that, another 11% of carbon dioxide emission from the energy sector originated from the construction process, including process of building raw materials, including cement, steel, brick, etc. Transportation of raw materials and the construction process. Urban transportation functions include movement of people, raw materials, and products towards and from urban area as well as its periphery. In 2010, final energy demand for transportation accounted for 28% of total end-use energy, with about 40% of that used in urban transportation. Supply function of the urban system includes supply of clean water, provision of food, supply electricity for heating, cooling, and lighting. Urban form and design. Urban form and design can have an inclusive range of consequences for urban areas' greenhouse gas emission. More dense building uses less energy to heat. In addition to that, single dwelling houses uses more energy to heat and cool the the other type of dwelling. Furthermore, multifunctional neighborhood is more practical than monofunctional neighborhood for decreasing energy demand and consumption ratio and for encouraging walking, cycling and other non-motorized vehicle travel. Hence, it is likely that urban design will exacerbate climate change effects and make urban space more vulnerable. Bitumen, pavement and other hard surface accumulate solar heat, create urban area as heat island that contributes to raising urban temperature. Geographical location. A city's greenhouse gas emissions are highly influenced by its geographical position. The amount of energy needed to heat urban buildings is now heavily influenced by the climate of the area, especially heating degree days. It is evident that household energy use such as heating, cooling or lighting, what household greenhouse gases emission in an urban area is obviously depending on its geographical location. In the United States, cities with winters have higher home heating emissions in January, whereas cities with hotter summers have higher energy use linked with home cooling in July. On the other hand, hydropower accrues for generating electricity in the cities like Geneva of Switzerland, Toronto of Canada, Rio de Janeiro of Brazil, considerably diminish the concentration of greenhouse gas emission. That's all for today. Thank you for watching this video.